All right, well, welcome. I think I'm recording now. Let's get into accessions and permits. So this is generally the outline of the demo portion. I'll talk a little bit about what it is an accession, what am I talking about, how accessions work in Arctos. I will walk you through the steps to create an accession, some of the fields, and then we will also talk about permits, what that means in Arctos, and again, I'll walk you through how that looks in Arctos. Let's Here we go. All right, so what is an accession? For some folks, this may be just review. A museum accession is really that formal act, including all the repercussions of illegal transaction of permanently accepting an object into a museum's permanent collection, and thus it's the transfer of that responsibility for the care and the continuity of the object to the museum. So what constitutes an accession is really entirely up to your particular collection's workflow or policies or past procedures. Arctos certainly, as a collection management system, doesn't dictate what constitutes an accession. So for my particular museum, our accessions are sometimes all the specimens from a given expedition. We have both had accessions that span different disciplines. So mammals, birds, and herps were all collected on the same expedition, so they all got the same accession. And but also at different periods of time, we've also had, a single expedition may be represented by three separate accessions, split up between the major collections and disciplines. So it all really depends. It still all works. It just kind of depends on your workflow and the people involved. Some accessions also may just represent a particular given period of time. Maybe you accept a lot of salvage material from the public, for instance, and so these are all the specimens that were acquired, during the spring months or during the summer months. Um, uh, a few of our older legacy accessions certainly represent those kind of walk-ins, or maybe they were found dead on the road, for instance, and so those were all just incidentals that were accessioned together. But nowadays we actually create an accession for every single separate acquisition. So we do get a lot of salvage material from wildlife rehabs, and because there's oftentimes such a diversity of information attached to that accession, we just create a new accession for each one of those. So those kind of decisions are, curatorial decisions, and Arctos can, handle all of those. Um, the only caveat would be that an accession is required to catalog a record, but a single accession can have any number of records, so there's no limits to that. So now I'm going to switch over to our collection management system. I'm going to be logged into our test server. So for those who are new to Arctos, we do have a test database. This requires you to log in with your regular TAC account. And if you've already logged into TAC once, I think it gives you, I don't know, 10 minutes of your token being still good in your cookies. So oftentimes I'll log into both systems, but I might need to differentiate between the two different servers. So in test, it's obviously good to test things. And so in this case, I will be creating accessions, so I don't want to do that in production. So after you've logged in, you can go to your tools directory and you can go to your accession create link, and it's going to look like this. And here you can see that you start with picking a collection. So I'm going to show you a couple of different options here. So when I go to my cultural archives collection, we actually have a different kind of numbering scheme for accession numbers. And so you can see the last one that was used. Now, my institution also uses integers, and so we have an incremental system set up. So that's what this represents. But this is very handy because I can see the last accession number that was used in the cultural collection, and then I can just manually increment. So it'd be 2025-005. Though actually for since this is in the new year, I would pick 2026. 0.001 because I know I haven't had an accession since last year. Now, for most folks, let's pick another one. Let's pick birds here. MVZ Birds is one of our biological collections, and at the MVZ, we actually share an accession number series. So all of the collections uses the same series of numbers. So it's really important for all of us to know what was the last number that was used. And so I can see that the last number that was used in the bird collection was 16071. And so the next number is incremented here. If I were to pick a different collection here, I can see the last number that was used was here, but I can still use the next available number in our system. So let's just go ahead and pick that. I just clicked on it. This is the default one, but maybe you're putting in some legacy stuff, so you might have a different, choose something different. I can pick when I actually received the accession. It may not be today's date. It could be an earlier date. So that's, like I said, if you're also filling in backlogs, the dates must be in the standardized ISO format. And then you can put in a number of descriptions here. Since the beginning of our particular collection, we've had sort of a set way of describing the nature of material for biological collections. And so, you can actually do something like that too. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna put in my species here. And I know these are toads in an A collection, so we'll just kind of ignore that part. You can also click on the Markdown editor, and that lets you put this in with some nice Markdown code. So then when I want to preview this, I can see I have italicized parts, and then I can just keep typing. I'm just putting in a bunch of nonsense here. And then I can also hit the save to the form. And so that formats it nicely. You do need some information here in terms of the agents. And so I can put in a organization or a person. So I'm just going to put in Hilda Grinnell because she's my example today. Oops, I should. And if I hit tab, apparently I know why. That's because she has a middle initial, which I've forgotten. So I'm gonna just put in the search anything box because that lets me search it with or without her middle initial. And here she is with her middle initial. And the accession type, we'll just call this a field collection. But you can see you have other options here as well. And whoops, that's her definition here. And I'm just going to say we have 35 because that's my estimate here. Now the remarks field is a private field that's only folks who are logged in as collection managers can see. So I can put a number of things. This is typically where we track the progress of a particular accession. So there's a few other things I might want to add in here. We have set previously all of our accessions to be private, so that's the default. And I'm just going to say this was I received it. And now once I save this accession, I still have more options to add in here. And I can put in things like its location in the museum. So I might want to put in the room number where that is stored. Let's see, there we go. So now the accession has a container. I just happen to remember that that we have a standardized room number system, and you may also have something standardized too. It could also be, a jar or case or cabinet, whatever you have set up as your containers. So it's pretty straightforward in this way to add in an accession. And the uh, added benefit here is I can also add in projects that may exist already. Some of our accessions, we have a standard project for all our field notes, for instance. And so if this accession has field notes involved, I would add in our project as well for field notes. So those are pretty, straightforward things. If the accession has perhaps correspondence, I have a PDF, a documentation about some of the information around how we acquired this. I can upload it or indicate it maybe in the remarks about where I have further information about how we acquired this accession. So that's the process to create an accession. So it's fairly straightforward. Let me return back to our presentation momentarily and talk a little bit about the permits before I show you how to create and add in a permit. So in Arctos, permits are any kind of documentation associated with accessions or the loans, because oftentimes loans have specific shipping permits, and that demonstrates or documents how the collections are allowed to either collect the specimens or transport the specimens, maybe both, or to establish its acquisition, like a deed of gift. Any of these things may have some kind of conditional use requirements that's put on the collection. And so Arctos provides a mechanism, a flagging system for those special conditions. And let me show you how that looks. So I'm going to return back to our tools directory. Under the tools directory, you can also search and create a permit. So that's where I am here. I'm going to create a permit, which I had started to do right now. And this permit, has some basic numbering system. It has an issued by date. It has an expiration date. I was pretty generous here. And then I have a couple of quick remarks about the relevant parts of the permit that I want to keep track of. And in particular, it's because there's some conditional usage for all the specimens under this permit. And this is according to the donor. So it could be, just maybe a written letter or part of the deed of gift. Once I have that written up, I can add in the kind of permit this is. So I can have all sorts of different kinds of ones. An import permit may have specific regulations like CITES. If you want to see all the different kinds of permits types, you can see them here. These are the permit types. And then more importantly, though, are the particular regulations. And so you can see there's a whole number of those regulations. If there are missing ones here, this is easy to add in. You just file an issue, and because it's a pretty straightforward table, there's usually very little turnaround time to get that established. So these are all things that you can specify here. More importantly, is this new use condition. Well, it's not that new anymore, but use conditions where you can flag, either a complex use, um, uh, perhaps any kind of use is allowed, but you just need to uh, ensure that there's some kind of specific attribution for its research use, so you can use that flag. Some folks use a standardized sort of use condition, just make sure that uh, um, users, researchers accredit the museum, for instance. And so you can have some standardized language, or you can default to nothing. But once I have selected one of them, it's good to have a little quick summary. I have added in agents, and these are, kind of specific to the accession, so you can see that there's the same agents involved here. And then, of course, lastly, I can upload media. So that, so PDFs, if you've got a PDF, you could just drag it here, add some light metadata, and it'll be attached to the collection. So that is the quick version of adding in a permit and ensuring that the use conditions are flagged and notified to the next curatorial user. So let's take a look at what that might look like when we are trying to search on these permits. So let me see, I don't know if I have these. Yeah, I do have this back. This is a specific locality, but let us look for a specific permit. And I thought I had that queued up, which I don't. So, so instead, I'm going to clear this one, and we're going to search on a specific permit. So let's see if I can. Okay, so I've cleared the form because that was an old one. I've made sure that I can search on permit number and accessions. There'll be a whole search on customizing the search interface, so I won't spend too much time, but they're always in your customizing panel, and you can save one of those particular search fields in a specific profile. So I know my number is permit number 111, and I can submit this query. Let's see. Oh, did I not add it? Maybe I didn't add it in. That needs to be, it does need to be added in. So let's go back here. So let's add in a permit. So I'm gonna do that. Search for it. So here's all my permits, but I need an exact search because that's not, here we go. Let's choose, now I'm going to choose this permit. And I just created this one, so I have nothing in this particular accession, because I haven't, it's still in process. So what I'm going to do instead is add it to an existing accession that has some records attached to it. So here's MVZ Bird 13676. I did a search on this particular accession, and I can now edit it. And I can see there's 4 robins and 6 cedar waxwings. These came from the Department of Pest Management at Berkeley, so these were probably window kills. But because Hilda was somehow involved in this, we're going to add her permit to this as well. So let's try that again with the exact search. I'm going to add this to the permit. You can see that my remarks are replicated here. So I have a quick view of what the particular permit is. I don't have to open up the PDF to look at it. And now that it's attached, this will carry to all the other specimens associated with this accession. So let's take a look at that specimen list. And I guess I'll just save the changes here just in case, though I think it already saved it. Let's take a look at the specimen list. And so now this is all the specimens associated with that collection. Oh, yeah, they definitely were window kills. You can see that from the dormitories. We'll take a look at this robin here. um, which I think is also this one right here. And this particular specimen, you can see all the regular information here. But in addition to that, there's the accession number, but there's also permits now attached, and it has complex use conditions. And so that is a flag for anybody who wants to request using the specimen, or for the curatorial person who's maybe trying to arrange a loan of either the specimen or the tissues, to go check out what are these complex use conditions. And so you can open this up and see that at sort of at a glance what the major parts of this accession, or rather the permits conditions are, so you can have a little bit of the remarks. I can see it's still in effect. It hasn't expired, and then I can click in here and read the actual permit details. So that's the sort of the round trip between accessions, permits, and then having those all flagged on the individual specimens. If you need to go do reporting, it's also easy to go do a search on permits and gather all the, whoops, gather all the specimens that are associated with a given permit. And then this result list is available to, reports and all the other normal things that our search results might be subjected to. So that is pretty much the end of my formal presentation, and I'm open for questions. And I'll stop the recording in case there's a lot of discussion. Thank you very much.